Welcome to the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society. I have two illustrious members here, and let's let them introduce themselves.
My name's Tim Elms. I'm the Society's Archivist and Membership Secretary.
And I'm Martin Gibbons, Society President.
Gee, I believe you run the Society. How did it all start?
Well, it all started back in 1976, so we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year by a gentleman in the north of England. Hancock hadn't been on television or radio for a long time. In fact, his last repeats were just after he had sadly passed away in the late 60s, and he decided that something ought to be done to get Hancock back on television and on the radio, and that was really how the Society started out. And it grew from there into really wanting to preserve as much of Tony Hancock's works as possible, and to keep Tony Hancock's name alive, all the way back to, say, 1976.
So how many members have you got today?
At the moment, we've got something like 750 members. We've had a constant membership over the years. I think back in the 80s and 90s, it might have been a bit more than that. But the interesting thing is that we gain new members every year, and normally, certainly the last few years, we've had more members join us than leave us. So it's a growing membership, 50 years on, which is fantastic.
So what sort of things do you do?
We have a quarterly magazine that goes out to members, full colour, with articles, news, events, all sorts of things Hancock related. And about 5 years ago, during the pandemic, we decided to start a podcast called Very Nearly an Armful, available on all the usual platforms, and that's been very successful. We're rapidly approaching 100,000 downloads on that. We have events. This year we've got an event in London in May, and where we're getting together to talk to a guy called Richard Harrison, who discovered some lost episodes of the radio series. And then in September we have our annual dinner in Solihull, which is just a few miles from Hancock's birthplace.
So what's the most popular thing do you have that people attend?
Well, I think we also do events at the Riverside Studios, which is where Hancock's Half Hour was made. What we do there is show episodes of Hancock's Half Hour on the big screen, and Tim and I then host question and answer afterwards. We normally get sort of 50, 60 people along to those events, and our event, as Tim mentioned, in Solihull, we normally get sort of 50 people there, and we've had some great guests there. Most recently we've had Kevin McNally, Diane Morgan, to name just a couple. So it's a great annual dinner, and we show rare episodes and lost material, so it's all good fun.
Back in the day, we used to get people who'd actually worked with Hancock. And Ray Galton and Alan Simpson came to our dinners years ago, June Whitfield, Richard Bryars, Ray Davis of the Kinks, all sorts of people who performed with him who were fans. Sadly, many of those people are no longer with us now.
I think, as far as I can work out, there aren't any people left from Tony Hancock's programmes?
Well, there are, in fact. So one of the supporting cast on the television, a guy called Laurie Webb, he's the guy who said there's more water in your beer than there is out there in the reunion party. He's still with us. Tim, 102 until the last couple of years. We know he was certainly still playing 9 holes of golf, so he's still with us. Is there anyone else? Oh, Anne Reid,
We've got
course.
Anne Reid, of course.
Reid, yes.
Anne Reid, who's famous. Well, I remember her mostly as Valerie in Coronation Street, who was Ken Barlow's wife, and she appears in Hancock, a couple of episodes of the TV version of Hancock's Half Hour, and she's still with us, of course, and in fact still working today and pops up on TV fairly regularly.
So who was she in the series?
She played Sid's secretary in one episode, which was called An Airfield at the Bottom of the Garden, and she played another supporting role as well. So there were a number of people who owe their success, if you like, to Hancock. I mean, I'm not saying that Anne Reid's success was necessarily due it, but a lot of people who weren't particularly famous have gone on to be famous in later years. And when you look at people who started out on Hancock, people like Sid James, of course, that was his first comedy role. Kenneth Williams was recruited to Hancock's Half Hour. A very good theatre actor, but virtually unknown on radio. Hattie Jakes had some success with educating Archie, but she went on obviously to the Carry On fame. Warren Mitchell started on Hancock's Half Hour. Hugh Lloyd started on Hancock's Half Hour. Lots of people started out on it and went on to greater things. Somebody
I very briefly met, was the series or the program called The Impressionist?
Oh, The Impersonator was Peter Goodright was the appeared in an episode of Hancock's Half Hour in which Hancock was taking him to court for impersonating him in a TV advertisement. And Peter Goodright was obviously a very famous impressionist at the time, and so he was invited to take part in that programme. And you can still hear those radio episodes today on BBC Radio 4 Extra.
So I remember, wasn't it Harper's Cornflakes? Was that right?
Harper's, yes. Yes.
And it's great in the episode because you actually get Tony and Peter Goodright talking in conversation in the court sequence, so you can really hear how good Peter's impression is. That was very brave of him to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you both got a favourite programme?
I like the radio series, and my favourite of the radio series is one called Fred's Pie Stall. So Fred's Pie Stall is an old-fashioned takeaway in the town square. It's on a horse-driven stall where they eat meat pies on a Saturday night after the pictures, in the same way that modern-day people go out for a kebab or whatever. And to me, the thing about the radio is that you can let your imagination run rife, and the picture of this pie stall in the middle of the square, I just think is wonderful. And in the story, they're trying to get the council want the pie stall to go because of gentrification, and there's a lot of social history involved in Hancock, and the fact that there was so much change going on at that time, and the old things were being swept away for new ideas, and it just brings all that together beautifully. A wonderful script by Ray Galton and Alan Simpson.
If I say with or without,
with or without what?
Yes,
handles.
Handles.
Exactly. Yes.
You've got a favourite?
Yes, mine's Hancock's Car, which was the very first episode I ever heard. My dad got this newfangled cassette recorder in the mid-1970s and recorded the series that was being repeated then. So Hancock's Car has Hancock, Hancock's getting the rest of the cast to clean his car for him, and then the policeman comes along and it's discovered he hasn't driven it for 10 years and the road hasn't been resurfaced. It's been resurfaced 10 times, all the bit except the bit his car's on, and it's all about how they managed to get the road resurfaced, and Hancock moves his car to get it done. It's absolutely amazing episode, and that's my favourite.
Brilliant. Is there anyone that you know that has met Hancock or worked with him?
I've met Richard Bryars. He was at one of our dinners, and although Richard didn't work directly with Tony, he did Hancock's last half hour for the radio, and has been always said he's a great Hancock fan. And in fact, I think there's he's said that sometimes in rehearsals and that he would do Hancock impressions. So Richard was always a great fan of Tony.
Okay, here's a challenge for you. Who can do the best Hancock?
Oh, not me.
And definitely not me either.
So if anyone doesn't know, it's Hancock at the beginning. So you have to be a bit of an expert to do that. So summing up, what is the way you can get to join your society?
So you can join the society, go online to tonyhancock.org.uk. As we mentioned earlier, you get a quarterly magazine called The Missing Page. It's £13 if you want to receive that by email, so a digital copy, or £16 if you want a copy in the post. As we said, it's a full colour magazine, comes out every quarter.
There we are. There it magically appears.
Yes, indeed.
How did that happen? Thank you very much. I think you might be gaining a new member.
Fantastic.
So it's fantastic.
It'd be great to have you both with us.
And you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.